Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a long time coming. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is on its deathbed. The left knows it can no longer sustain the lie. It took them this long, but they are now finally adopting what is plainly obvious. Diversity initiatives don't work, are racist, and highly offensive. Here we are. It's mostly garbage. Iconic black radio host Charlemagne the God trashes DEI while guest hosting The Daily Show. It was actually a pretty good segment. I think it's maybe 8 years too late, but it's fairly good. He basically says, dude, nobody who goes to a diversity segment enjoys it. They're all sitting there going, this is some BS. Now, he says the full swear, but we try to keep it family friendly here. I agree. These programs don't change anything. They don't help anyone. It's just pure racism. He goes on to say, like, don't those right-wingers sound crazy because they say DEI is just a way to say that you don't like white people. DEI is virtue signaling garbage. Corporations trying to sound like they're fitting in with current thing. And they realized current thing wasn't popular and it's hurting them politically. So now they're going to reverse course. That means we win. Congratulations, everybody. Charlemagne the God trashed diversity, equity, and inclusion while guest hosting the left-leaning program, The Daily Show, Wednesday night. The host, whose real name is Leonard Larry McKelvey, argued that DEI does not benefit racial minorities in the workplace as a range of industries have become dedicated to hiring more women and minorities. The truth about DEI is that although it's well-intentioned, it's mostly garbage, okay? It's mostly like the Black Little Mermaid. Just because racists hate it doesn't mean it's good. And you know, I'm right because every one of you has sat through one of those diversity training sessions and thought, this is some BS. Yeah. I'd like to point out, they're still playing this dirty game. Tain't nobody got mad at the Little Mermaid being black because they were racist. Let me pause and start over for all the whinging liberals. Obviously, there were racists who didn't like a black Little Mermaid, but the main reason most people took issue with it were not because they were racist. So, of course, when he says just because racists hate it, yeah, hold on. The problem was in the media, they called you racist if you said it was tacky and poorly cast. I'm offended. I think the casting of a black Little Mermaid was racist because they gave her red hair. Okay? What's the chick's name? I forgot her name. Haley something or whatever. I don't know much about her, but I have no problem with her playing Little Mermaid. I don't care if the Little Mermaid is black or not. The Little Mermaid is not a real thing. Mermaids don't exist. Matt Walsh made the hilarious joke where he was like, if they were going to make it actually realistic, the Little Mermaid's skin would be translucent and she would look like a floating skull. Because if you've ever seen deep sea creatures, their skin is see-through because there's not a lot of light down there. I love it. Media Matters got mad at him for that. But the issue I take with Little Mermaid is they took a black girl and they bleached her hair red. And everyone was like, well, it's because Ariel has red hair. And I'm like, Ariel's also white. If you want to cast a non-white person to play Ariel, you don't have to make it a person with red hair. And then all these leftists who are like, black people have red hair, Tim. And I'm like, oh my God. There's nothing you can do. They can erase the natural beauty of this young black woman's hair to fit a white persona as a redhead and then justify that a small percentage of black people actually have red hair. So it's totally fine. None of that was my point. My point was they had to dye her hair to fit a character persona of a white mermaid. You know, look, my point here is they're still trying to play this game. My concern with the Little Mermaid is it's ham-fisted. It's condescending. It's a hand-me-down. I don't care if they make a black Iron Man. I don't care if they make a black James Bond. People were talking about Idris Elba playing James Bond, and I'm like, damn, he'd be pretty good. And then a lot of people online were like, we shouldn't racially swap characters. James Bond's a white man, blah, blah. And then I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know the race of James Bond matters that much to the story. And Idris Elba's an amazing action movie star. He plays great characters. He played Heimdall. And Heimdall is like, you know, like a Norse god, a Viking god. And they were like, why, you know, people got mad. I was like, really? You really cared about that? I really don't care. I mean, I understand Vikings were predominantly white. Predominantly, I mean, like the overwhelming majority of almost all of them. Black people existed in these places. I just don't really care all that much about it. My concern more is that they're hand-me-down characters. Idris Elba's great. He played Heimdall masterfully. It's fantastic. Big fan. The issue, however, is make new characters. Use their own mythology and lore for their characters. And I just, that's the problem. And they call you a racist if you say this. No, dude, y'all are the racists. But anyway, more to the point. I shouldn't be so down. We're winning. McKelvey pointed to studies finding DEI does not improve the workplace for racial minorities due to the backlash effect, a negative reaction toward women and others who are perceived as counter-stereotypical. The biggest failure of DEI is the number of black people in power at big companies. It's basically the same as it was 5 years ago. In fact, maybe the only thing that DEI is giving racist white people cover to be openly racist. He then played clips of Fox News hosts pointing out how DEI could lower standards in the professional sphere and claimed they are blaming DEI for everything. Several medical schools, including the University of Pennsylvania School of Medicine and City New York and CUNY in New York, removed the medical college admission test, MCATs, for certain black and Hispanic applicants to increase the number of that demographic that are admitted to its institution. Airlines in the U.S. did this. We get it. Quote, the main focus of airline DEI programs is promoting so-called racial representation goals. In other words, racial discrimination that puts woke ideology above safety. Will Hild, executive director of nonprofit consumer protection agency Consumers Research, told the Daily Caller News Foundation. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I really don't see a point in mentioning the rest of that. Fine. But the clip's getting a lot of attention. And I can respect it, but I still don't. I can respect that they're admitting it. I can respect that we're winning and they're basically caving to this, but I can't respect the way they go about handling it, because the way they have to go about handling it is still, y'all are racist, y'all are wrong. Yeah, DEI is bad. How about you say this? How about you come out and go, let's be real, guys. The right had this one the whole time. DEI doesn't work. It creates more problems than it solves. It makes people mad at each other. It costs money. It isn't doing what it's supposed to be doing. So let's just stop. Let's just get rid of it. Fascinatingly, even Mark Cuban has abandoned DEI. He had this tweet where he said, I told these business leaders to stop saying equality of outcome and start saying equality of opportunity. Those are two different things. Equity does not mean equality of opportunity, which we all agree with. Equality of opportunity means, hey, man, you want to try out for the role of the lead character? Ain't nobody going to stop you. And if you're not good enough, bye-bye. But that's not what we got. What we got was mandatory and quotas. And it's funny because maybe Mark Cuban doesn't understand because he's at the highest level of industry, a CEO, investor, running companies. He's the kind of guy who goes, Mark Cuban's the perfect example of the businessman who, were he to become politician, would fail miserably because they don't understand how things actually work at the ground level. What I mean? Do we see this all the time? Let me tell you a story. I'll tell you a story about why DEI doesn't work. So there was this town in India and they had a problem with snakes. There's snakes everywhere. Snakes are causing problems. And so the city was like, hey, we got an idea. What if we tell everybody, you bring us the head of a snake and we'll give you $1 or some amount of money. Then all the snakes will be wiped out, right? Wrong. What happened? They started breeding the snakes intentionally to make money. The government subsidized the head of snakes. So the incentive was to make more of them. So when you have DEI, you're not going to stop racism. You're going to make more of it because there are industries built around profiting off of this idea and DEI. You're going to get DEI divisions, counselors, corporations, auditors. And those people must maintain DEI if they're going to keep making money. What a racket. But it's all coming to a close. With The Daily Show and many universities now abandoning the crackpot ideology, perhaps Democrats have realized, oops, they went off the rails. Took them 10 years to finally figure it out. Maybe they can try and win back some of the post-liberals. I doubt it. They've gone insane. This Democratic Party, so long as they're pro-war, so long as they're pro-insane crime policies, even with the remnants of the DEI stuff, it ain't happening. I'm not saying we get everything we want as post-liberals from the Republican Party, But the Democrats, man, I don't know what they have to offer. I'm going to leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 6 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all then.